You speak of Israel as the aggressor, and yet I don't see it in that way. And if there is anybody that understands the Qatari double game, anyone in the region, more than anyone in the region, it's Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia ousted Qatar several years ago from the GCC together with other allies because of its double game, because it was playing creating instability, in fact, feeding instability, and then crying about it and pretending to try and be the mediator about it. And really, the GCC countries perhaps know and understand that all too well. Al Jazeera is a tool that was used and is still used against every single one of them.
Things are quite different now, though, Ruth. They are working together, a lot of these GCC countries, and they're standing together quite firmly.
So at the moment, they are standing together very similarly to the way that they stood together with Assad after they ousted him. But as we all know, and especially the Arab Muslim country all know, that apart from declarative aspect, there is the de facto aspect, and there is zero trust amidst those role players towards Qatar. And that is the truth and not what is being declared and said. Now, I understand that attacking the Hamas leadership in Qatar is a very significant move. I would not say unprecedented, because very recently the Islamic Republic of Iran did exactly the same. Afterwards, sitting and crying together with Qatar, hand in hand, over their terrible misfortune, which everybody understands is completely hypocritical. But it's not unprecedented. It is, however, very significant, and I totally understand that. However, Saudi Arabia does not harbor Muslim Brotherhood senior leadership or Hamas leadership that plans to eliminate rhetorically and in terms of attempts de facto on the ground, rape, murder, and massacre Israeli civilians. They don't do that. In fact, they outlawed the Muslim Brotherhood because they well understand the dangers of the Muslim Brotherhood, like the UAE, like Bahrain, like Egypt, like Jordan. And therefore, Israel will never, ever take any kind of aggressive step towards any country, because its idea was not to attack Qatar at all. It was just to hurt those leadership. And whoever understands in military, like the gentleman sitting over here, who is an expert, and Jasmine, who is also an expert, they know that the equipment used was very, very precise. I would say even too precise, which is why the actual operation failed.
Whether or not there's any concern from you, from commentators in Pakistan, that with the instability in the Middle East and this new mutual agreement that aggression on one is aggression on both, could see Pakistan drawn in to this conflict if it does spill over?
I think this is a ridiculous conversation, thinking that a very small country like Israel, you just mentioned that Pakistan has 250 million Muslims. And as I said, and I began my words with a great respect, that Israel has absolutely zero intention of aggression. And on the contrary, all I hear is that Israel is an imperialist country. I didn't laugh when you were talking, sir. I would very much accept your respect to me. As a human being and as a person, but you don't have to. It's just a recommendation. But Israel, being an imperialist country, barely being seen on the map with 10 million people, 2 million of whom are Arab Israelis, the majority of which are Muslim, it's quite astounding that we are spending an hour talking about the aggression of a Mr. Netanyahu with countries with such power and such impact, such as the countries that you represent. It almost seems quite astounding that you would see them, such countries, as a threat. Israel does not attack countries in general. Israel responds to attacks. And I can tell you, sir, that our women were ravaged, massacred, burnt. Villages, whole villages were massacred with underground tunnels. We were not in Gaza for years. We had absolutely no war, no intention to war. On the contrary, there were people working in the very homes that they ravaged, and people were raping girls and raping women and kidnapping civilians from their beds. My
Can
own
we just,
children
if
could
we're
have
going, I
been
mean,
in
look,
that
Ruth,
situation.
Ruth, you can
So
talk
talking
about
aggression,
exactly everything that you're talking about is also happening across Gaza, across the West Bank. I think
we
we're
don't
here to
rape
talk
any
about the security
Gazans. We never
implications.
burn any Gazans. We have no
You
intention. We
never
have
burn
no
any
bad
Gazans? What
ill
about the engineering
intention.
student?
We have
Sorry,
no
what
ill
about the engineering
intention
student?
against any
Melinda,
Gazans.
can
We
you
have
give us a
no
chance to
ill
respond, please?
intention
Because
against
a
any
lot of
Gazans.
lies
On
are
the
being
contrary.
Okay.
shared
The
here.
IDF, but I can tell you because I've been there. I don't know when last you were in Gaza, but the IDF is attempting to secure the civilians to leave the places
Melinda,
that are
I
being
will.
bombed. The
I
Hamas
can't sit
I'll
here
bring
and
you in
listen.
a moment,
stay
Jasmine.
in those very places.